Board on this computer. Here we are. And I don't know why I'm getting the feedback. And we're going to broadcast. Welcome to the Nonprofit Chat. This is Tuesday, March 7th. It's the part of the series we call the Nonprofit Exchange. We're exchanging ideas with one another, and we're learning the best principles from business leaders. My guest tonight is Joshua Adams. Joshua is in Florida, and if you're in some cold climate right now, he's not sad for you. You're in Melbourne, actually. Melbourne?
I am. Yep.
And that's in the Orlando area, if you don't know Florida. And Joshua's company, Rock Paper Simple, is one of the sponsors for Center Vision Leadership Foundation. We vet our sponsors very carefully, and he's a master of his craft. And we're going to talk about, what's our title tonight, Joshua?
Tonight is 7 Steps to Nonprofit Website Relevancy.
Relevancy, yeah. We put up a lot of pretty sites, and they don't do much. So you're talking about marketing through our web presence tonight. Now, I don't want to do a whole lot of fancy introduction of you. I'd like you to tell people, why are you qualified to talk about this topic?
Sure. No, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. I've been in the web design field for 15 years. I know I don't look like I could be, but I have been. I've been doing it professionally since I was actually 14. I was a freelancer for about 4 years there before I started my first agency and really launched into the world there. So 15 years in the space there, 7 years in branding and marketing. So I became a partner of a marketing agency back about 7 years ago, which launched me into the branding and marketing world. Blew my mind open as far as understanding how a website was a marketing tool. It wasn't just a pretty brochure on the web. That's when I, as Hugh likes to call it, I went from being a propeller head, as he likes to say, to being a marketer and understanding that, oh wow, there's a purpose behind this website. I spent 3 years as a youth pastor in between there, so I have a deep understanding of ministry and what it means to be involved in a nonprofit space. I've also served on and worked with a lot of nonprofit boards, the Ad Federation, the Founders Forum. Work with nonprofits like, I've written them down here so I don't forget which ones. Big Brother, Big Sisters of America, Humane Society, Christian Care Ministry. Christian Care Ministry is a client of ours, actually, national nonprofit. We worked with everything from charities, chambers, chambers of commerce, even orchestras, churches, ministries, the whole range. Did you know I worked with orchestras?
No, well, you mentioned that. I had forgotten that, but
yeah.
I know that you're not a propeller head. I'd forgotten to use that term so loosely. And I know because you have satisfied customers. We present at conferences together, and Shannon Gronich has this Business Acceleration Summit. Russell's been there. Yep. Russell is a guest tonight. He's a permanent guest. He's been a great supporter, and he's a wayfinder with Center Vision Leadership Foundation that understands all of our methodologies and is quite learned and experienced in the nonprofit field. Let's go ahead and, is there any more you want to say about yourself? I understand ministry, and because I spent 40 years inside ministry work, as you know, as Director of Worship and Fine Arts and Director of Music. And when you mention marketing to somebody in ministry, they go, that's sales. We don't do sales. Well, you do evangelism, don't you? and we're almost anti-business and charities. It's really essential that we understand how marketing connects us with the world. And it's the difference in marketing and selling. So I'm going to let you take us through your 7 steps. And if you'll present that, we normally spend about an hour on these sessions. If you'll spend part of that first hour going over your 7 steps, and then let's entertain some Q&A going back and forth. And if I have questions along the way, may I interrupt you briefly just to clarify?
Please. I prefer it to be very dynamic, so absolutely interrupt me. I want to quantify something. You did say, this dirty word marketing, right? The sales.
Yeah.
And in the business world, it's a good word. In the business world, sales and marketing, it's the the bread of life, and really when we transition over into the nonprofit world or the ministry world, we're afraid to say those words because it connotates profit, it connotates those kind of things, ROI, those words. It's just different. It's a different thing. When you're a nonprofit or ministry, you're still trying to engage people. You're still trying to reach out to people and spread the word. Being a youth pastor, we did everything from street ministries to mission trips and the whole deal. So we were out and about, and I understood the idea of getting people's attention. Churches have the same need to reach out and tell the word, whether it's promoting, just preaching the gospel, or it's promoting members or engaging their existing members, whether that be getting more volunteers for things or getting them more engaged with things. Nonprofits, they have a need for donations, engagement with their own members, and generation of new ones, volunteers, etc. So there's an idea of this, like I said, marketing. We don't need marketing because we still have goals to accomplish. And to accomplish those, we need to, again, create vehicles to present things and whatnot. Like I said, it's just different ends to a means. I mentioned earlier that I did web design for many, many years before I understood really the true purpose of it, and the marketing aspect of it. And that was really when I realized, and I coined the phrase, a website without results is a worthless website.
A website without results is a worthless website.
Absolutely. Regardless of whether it's beautiful or not. You can have the most beautiful website, but if it's not doing something for your organization, it's pointless. Why do you have it? And that really comes down to, it works. It's the same way for businesses. It works for nonprofits and churches. If you have a website up and it's not doing anything for you, then you're wasting your time, your energy, your resources, your money.
Well, and there's a lot of people that are still doing web design that don't get it. As a matter of fact, you and I have thrown around the phrase, some web designers like to brag about how many hits they can bring. Well, hits is redefined as how idiots track success. You don't care how many hits you got. You care how many people do something. You're talking about engagement and relevance. Ever since we first spoke, I realized you got the real goods here. So,
Thank you. And the reason I suggested the title today of the relevancy, because first of all, this is the same mistake that businesses make. They don't create a website that has any relevance. It's pointless. It's that worthless website because they don't accomplish any goals. And the same thing with nonprofits and churches. Many times they either don't see the relevance of a website or they have one with no relevance. And really, what does that mean? It just means it really accomplishes no purpose. It's completely useless. So looking at that, how do we fix that, right? So the same, again, correlating all these years in the business world, I see them making the same mistakes and really not understanding that they should start with a plan, start with a purpose. And when we sit down with clients, and the first thing we say, whether it's a business or a nonprofit, we say, well, what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish with this website? Why will this help your organization? Why are you spending this money with us? We challenge them right from the get-go. Why are you here? We're not just a set of developers that are just building some technology. We're marketers. We believe in creating a result for our people. Our agency, we're 10 strong. Out of our 3 interns, there's 13 of us in the office here. It's not we only have 3 of us are web guys. I have a marketer, I have a copy person, I have 3 designers. I have an operations director. We have a team that pull these things off because we're thinking bigger picture than just some technology and some HTML code, right? Mm-hmm. So kind of setting that stage, I'm going to roll through some of these 7 steps. We've used these 7 steps with nonprofits. We've used them with Inc. 500 companies, everything from local mom and pop shops here to international firms. So this stuff works, and really what I'm going to go through is the typical 7 steps process that we go through for each of our sites. And this formula works whether you are having an agency do it like us, whether you're doing it yourself. They absolutely apply. Now, I'm going to read it in such a way that this is how we do it, but I'm going to spin it and say, well, how would this apply to your organization? I'm going to spin it. How does it apply specifically to nonprofits, et cetera? And Hugh, please jump in at any point. If you say, oh, yeah, I can see how this could apply, et cetera, certainly jump in. Step 1, our number 1 step, and we joke, we say, we shut up and listen. to our clients. We shut up and listen to them. And I again joke that it's kind of a lie, because first we ask a whole bunch of questions, then we shut up and listen. And what those questions are what are offerings? What is it that you're doing? In this case, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? What sets you apart? What is your mission? How are you going to change the world? What are the things that you do different? What are your goals? Those are the things we're trying to figure out. So again, in the context of these steps, it's how we treat clients. From your side, what are you trying to accomplish? Sit down, write out your goals. We've actually created a website checklist on our site to give to clients if they're saying, well, we're not quite ready yet. We've given them this checklist to kind of what to think about, what to put together, and that's helped them get their thoughts together in terms of planning. Because I can't count the amount of times in years past that I've had somebody come up to me before Rock Paper Simple and say, I want a website. I say, great. I say, what do you want? I say, well, I want 5 pages and this and this and the other thing. Great. And I'd go and build it. There was no planning. There was no understanding. And so step one is truly to understand what you want to accomplish. For the nonprofit world, here I'm going to throw out some ideas, but certainly feel free to step in. We're talking more engagement. So, hey, my stakeholders are disengaged with my brand. Give them a way to engage. Maybe it's getting them to come to the site and learn about the events going on, creating some sort of way to communicate that information. Maybe we're talking about generating donations. We're driving traffic out there, out in the community, and we're talking about it. People are like, I'd love to donate to that. Well, how do I do it? Go to the website. Make it easy. Make an easy way for them to do that. But what are these goals? And truly, it could be engagement. It could be donations. It could be more volunteers. It could be, hey, we've got a fantastic message, but we don't know how to get it out there. We want to get our message out. Well, there's a goal there. So creating tangible goals that you can measure is the first step, not the last step. A lot of people use that as the last step.
I'm making some notes here. Create tangible goals that you can measure.
Correct. If you don't, well, then how are you going to know your website was successful? How do you know that your website was money well spent? And you won't know unless you have some sort of goal, some sort of measurable goals. And it could be an increase in donations. It could be more engagement from your existing membership base, showing up to events. Maybe you want 50 people at each event instead of 20. What are the goals you want to accomplish? What do you feel the website could help you with? And that's huge. And that's absolutely. So I know you're kind of putting a spin on my stuff here. The step 2, we typically call that planning for results. Creating tangible goals is fine as well. Really, step 2, taking those. Now you have those goals. You have the understanding of what sets you apart, etc. And we make a plan to communicate the offerings. Make a plan to communicate your goals. How do you do that now? So what is the plan to accomplish that? And again, it's not a matter of, oh, what do you want? And then we go build it. It's not a matter of you saying, hey, I want a website with 10 pages. I want to communicate about us page, a contact us page, etc. And then you give that to a web person and just kind of expect it to happen. What's going to happen if we did that with our clients, we would build the site and then hope and pray they like it when it got done.
Oh my!
And that's no way to. And I can think back. Gosh, I remember my first agency. It was in my parents' garage. How long ago? 12 years ago. And it was in I had this whole garage. I converted it into an office. I had multiple desks in here. I had a designer working in there with me. And I remember the way I approached them. Projects, clients would ask for a website. I'd say, great. Tell me kind of what you like, and that was really it. And then I went to work, and I literally designed the website, write out some copy, build the website, and then I'd send the link to them and hope they liked it. You have no idea how horrifying that is, because you literally can't sleep. And if you finish the project at 11 o'clock at night, forget it. You're not sleeping. It's just because you're sitting there praying, oh my gosh, I hope they like it. Oh my gosh, I hope they like it. And you're waiting for that email. And sometimes you got the email and they're like, it's amazing. And you're like, wow, why was I worried all this time? And sometimes you got the email that was like, it sucks. What's wrong with you? I hate everything about this. And you just sit there crushed because you just spent 3 days building this stupid website that was good 3 hours ago.
All right, I want to go back to this is, this is a repeatable offense. And this is going to be on the podcast, and it'll be timeless. We don't talk about dates because somebody could be listening to this a year from now.
Yeah.
What I want to point out is you are giving us really good interview questions when we're hiring a webmaster.
Yes.
And a marketing person. So your transparency, number one, is a good leadership skill, but you're opening up. This is the challenges I've had. So we don't really think about what the challenges that people have from your side.
You don't.
No. And so this is a good revelation of how, and really what I'm hearing you do in your dialogue is you're building relationships with people.
Absolutely.
And that's what underneath communication I teach, that it's relationship. Leadership is relationship, and people don't hire you until they trust that you're going to deliver something of value. And,
right.
And what I've heard from people who've used you is that they get more engagement because they've used you, and it offsets whatever cost it took to set it up, and far better than them trying to do it themselves.
Oh, yeah. Well, I actually just had a client email us earlier this week. They've actually made 100% return. They made their money back within 2 months, and another 4 months in, they've doubled their money back since they've launched the site 4 months ago.
That's encouraging. That's so encouraging. Well,
very encouraging.
And I'd like to point out that people are listening on the podcast and not viewing it, that you're not in a garage. You have a very handsome office.
That's correct.
You have a whole. I've met some of your staff. They're very capable. So you're a real guy in real business. So sorry for interrupting you, but you've done. You're creating tangible goals. That's really consistent with what I teach is and Russell teaches. How do we create this framework for our business, this strategy?
Yep.
So we're speaking the same language here. So let me stop interrupting you. This is
no worries. I appreciate it. But I bring that up to say that that's the wrong way to do it, and I did it wrong over and over and over. And talk about stress, and really not a disservice to my clients. And that was even before I figured out the marketing thing, right? Understanding I had a marketing component. But what happens now is an intensive amount of planning before you get to work. You wouldn't go build a house without drawing out plans.
Mm-hmm.
You just wouldn't do it. Now, if you're me, you wouldn't build a house anyways. Like, it's not something you even try. I have a brother who's fantastic. He could probably do it. Forget it. Don't put a hammer in my hand. Not good. But my point being, you don't go out and try to build something without that plan. You don't go to build a business or form an organization without a plan of some sort, without some sort of idea of what you're going to do. Same thing with a website. You have to have a plan in place. Our first 2 steps are all about planning. Number 1, shut up and listen. Collect all that information. Know what you're about. Number 2, plan for the results. Create that plan that's going to accomplish those goals. How are you going to communicate the things you need to communicate? Accomplish the things you're going to accomplish. Absolutely. So how do we accomplish that? So, I know I'm beating that to death, but it's so important. We have our initial discovery session. Well, actually, it starts with that free consultation where we talk to the client and make sure we're a good fit. If it's a good fit, then we have when we move forward, we have our planning session. The planning session is precursed by a questionnaire. They answer some marketing questions and some questions about their business. Then we flow into the planning session where we build out a whole plan, where we're talking about their goals and what to accomplish. We sketch the site map. We sketch the site layout. There's a big planning process that happens here. Wow. And you've got myself involved. You've got our director of operations involved, our designer involved, our copywriters involved with that, because we do copywriting for it. So that's what the planning process looks like. This is not a let's fire from the hip and hope it works. We're planning for results here.
This is the Nonprofit Exchange. We're interviewing Joshua Adams, and I want to shout out to a few people that I'm working with, Renee and this great group out in Salt Lake City doing really good work, Emmanuel Vigil, who's in New Mexico. And I see we've got some people watching, and people I recognize are Leah Jones-Allen and Andrea Roberts. Welcome to this. And we'll find this at the Nonprofit Exchange. It's a podcast on iTunes or on your other store. I forget what it is for Apple, for Google. Google apps that do podcasts. So this lives on. Joshua, this is really good. And Russell put in here, the plan is the heart of the structure.
Absolutely.
So people on here that know me know that you and I are, this is why I wanted to have you. It's such a synchronous process where we start building our strategy, and then we bring in a web person, they know what to do. All right. So that's number one was shut up and listen. Number two, create tangible goals that are measurable. This is helpful.
Absolutely. So, and create a plan out of that, right? So number three, was when we start actually doing some things with the site, as we're building it, as we're planning it, we direct traffic to the most important pages. So understanding that you might have a website with 20 pages, but not every page is as important as the other. You're typically going to have 1, 2, 3 pages that are really your key ones. What are you trying to accomplish? And really, we're going to go back to our goals to figure that out. If we want donations, well, then our donations page is going to be one of those key pages. If we want to get our story out there and get buy-in, maybe we have got a fantastic video that tugs on the heart. We've got some great messaging that talks about the numbers and the ratios about what we're impacting and how we're changing the world. Well, there you go. That's an important page. Maybe we're trying to get volunteers and get them to sign up. Maybe it's getting more engagement at events. Well, now your events page is a core important page. So determining which are the most important pages and then directing traffic to those is absolutely key. Because if you land on a website and has no direction, it doesn't drive you deeper into the site, you're just going to wander. You're going to end up on this page and that page, and you might lose interest. And this is going to be important. Don't ever leave the navigation up to the user. If you can take control of the path the user takes on the website, you're going to have more results from that website. Now, it doesn't mean that they don't have a navigation at the top. It doesn't mean they don't have a navigation at the bottom where they can take control of their traffic. My point is, make it much easier to get to the pages that matter most. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. Don't leave the navigation up to the user.
Right.
And actually, they go on and they'll be out of there if they're confused.
That's absolutely true. In fact, we talk about the fact that you have to have the clear call to action, clear navigation, or they're out of there. You ever land on a website and you go, well, what do I click next? And next thing you know, you just hit the back button because it wasn't obvious where to go next. There's a large organization here, I'm not going to name, who paid $100,000 for a website. $100,000 for a website to another unnamed company. And this is a huge organization that everybody would know if I said it. And I went, oh, really? Wow, they bought a $100,000 website from a big company out of the area. Awesome. I'm going to go see what a $100,000 website buys you. Just so you know, I don't charge $100,000. No. So I pull up the homepage of this site, and I go, okay, that's kind of pretty, but it's just one page. Well, that's weird. So I'm looking around going, well, where do I get to other stuff? Where are other things? And I couldn't figure it out. I'm a web guy. And I'm like going, there's nothing else on this website but the homepage. What is going on? Well, it turns out there's an upper corner spot. There was this like sideways menu with a little arrow, right? And if you clicked it, this menu slid out across the page. And there were all the pages. But until you did that, you couldn't find any of the pages. I just sat there and I laughed. You do realize that nobody's going to figure that out.
Oh, my word.
And so having a clear navigation, and I bet you any money that you look at the analytics reports on that site, and there's a whole lot of bouncing. Land on the page and bounce. Land on the page and leave. I would bet you. It's determining what those most important pages are and finding a way to easily direct traffic to them. Call to actions means you got some buttons on there saying, hey, learn more about donations. Go check out our events. Go sign up for we're looking for volunteers. What's that call to action? In business, I say drive them to the page that makes you money. In a nonprofit environment, drive them to the page that accomplishes the goal that you need to accomplish. Maybe that's donations, volunteers, engagement, whatever it is. Drive that. One more note on the important pages is, and it's going to kind of segue into number 4, which is we use effective copy, using effective content, right? Effective copy, images, etc. And the reason that I'm going to segue there is because one of the most important pages is going to be your big why, how you impact it. Hugh, you and I have talked about this as to communicating to the stakeholders, whether it be members or volunteers or whoever it may be, the value of what you're doing, right? So figuring out why you matter, what impact you're making on the world, and quantify it. Again, you've referenced that where's your money going, right? How many times have we been asked for money from an organization and you go, why? Where's it going? What impact is it making? If I donate, if I volunteer, am I making a difference? I get asked all the time to join boards and to volunteer for this, to donate a website to this, to do this. What impact am I making is what I want to know. And so your site, it has to convey that. And one of the things that you should just do, you poke around, do any kind of amount of research on charities and nonprofit websites. One of the things you'll see really promoted a lot is the quantifiable numbers, but not just the numbers. Use visual graphics, charts, graphs, things like that. People eat that stuff up, and they want to know, right? And so I'm not going to sit there and read a paragraph, 15 paragraphs or whatever on your dissertation of why you're saving the planet, but I might look at a graph and a chart and go, wow, that's cool. I want in on that. Tell me where to donate. Tell me where to volunteer. That's going to be one of your core pages, and that's going to be using effective copy specifically for a relevant nonprofit charity site.
Love it. We're coming up. We're 4 out of 7. We're about halfway through the hour, so let's keep going.
Excellent. So
great stuff. Good stuff.
For creating that useful content, I normally say creating marketing-focused content. Again, I know that's the bad word, but creating content that is going to generate results. Marketing is all about just driving towards a goal. That's all it's about, right? And that goal may not be sales, but it's still going to be accomplishing something. So looking at your copy, is it presenting well? Is it more about the story and what we're trying to accomplish? Is it connecting with the visitor? One of the things that I teach a lot about is creating content that is not just informational. It's also, and again, in our world, a little bit more sales copy. In yours, it's going to be that story. It's going to be the reason. It's going to be the why. It's going to be the buy-in copy, right? Get me engaged. Get me excited. We talk about search relevant content that's going to help people find you via SEO or Google. We'll talk more about that later. But that copy has to be effective.
And just a side point, one of our partners is Content University, Cheryl Snap-Conner out of Salt Lake City. She'll be on here in a few weeks talking about how to create compelling copy. So that's a spot on. So effective copy is so critical.
Absolutely, and it's amazing how many people don't have a great message or even know what they stand for. They know they want to save the world. What's our mission? Oh, we want to save the puppies. Well, okay, but how? Like, what sets you apart? What's your vision? What are your core values? What they don't know. And I'm not picking on anybody because this isn't obvious stuff. You have to learn this. And I actually, of all days, this is funny. We did not plan this at all. But today I was sitting in a boardroom with a nonprofit working on their brand, of all things. And it was fantastic. They have what they're doing is working with families. They're strengthening and building families. They're creating permanency for children. And so you got all these kids who are bouncing around, right? They don't have any anchor. Maybe there is an abusive situation, alcohol in the home, drugs in the home, whatever it may be. And this nonprofit, their job is to come in and work with all the stakeholders, whether it be the parents and family, extended family, a court, whatever it may be, a psychologist, whoever the stakeholders are, and they try to create. Their goal is to create permanency for this child, right? And they want to get away from all the stuff where they are creating temporary solutions or they're putting them back in the home and there's a problem. So their goal is to create permanency for everybody in the family. And so we sat and worked through this and started to realize what their grand vision was and started to materialize what their core values were, et cetera. And it was so funny because they began to discover who they were in a deeper level than besides just helping kids, right? And so we worked through those core things of who they were as a brand with the board there. The legal was sitting across from me, which was a lot of fun because I kept picking on her. And I'll say, and this one will be great because I'm not repeating any of those jokes.
Good. We are on the Nonprofit Exchange. This is where we build install business principles into the charities we run. And live, it's the Nonprofit Chat. If you're on Twitter, look at the hashtag Nonprofit Chat anytime, presently or in the future. Look at hashtag Nonprofit Chat. There's a series of questions out there and some dialogue going on, and we'll get to those questions a little bit. Let's get to those other 3 points, and then we'll entertain those questions live and then see if people have any comments. There's Jim Dygert from Florida has joined us, and I put him on the panel, but he's bashful. He's blocked his picture. But Jim's a thought leader that we work with in Florida when we're there, and a friend and colleague, so he's joined us. So go ahead. Let's. Were you finished with 4? Let's move to 5.
Yeah, I was just wrapping up. The reason I brought that up was with them, we've determined who they are and what they stand for, and now writing the copy, effective copy, is so much easier because now we know who they are. We know what they believe in. We know. So they're asking us, well, what are the next steps? We're finishing their brand, their logo, and the whole deal, and talking about website and stuff. And now we start writing copy for the website. It's going to be so much easier because we know who they are as a brand.
Spot on.
So know thyself, right? And so stepping into it, making sure that copy isn't just boring. You got to engage people. Tell the story. We did a marketing video for a Alzheimer's nonprofit foundation. And the video was a story. It was the story of one of the individuals who was going through it, and it was the story told by his wife, who was going through this, and how the foundation had totally changed their lives, given her life back in a lot of ways as well, but also given him meaning and purpose and happiness and joy. And we went through this video, and I tell you, I cried watching it made you. It touched you, and that video was on there, and that's relevant copy, right? That's relevant content. It was video, but it was relevant content to them. So anyway, I'll move on beyond that. I know I'm beating it to death, but it's important to create content that has a relevance to your.
It's not just writing. It's just not just
Correct.
Words. Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
I have meaning. Tug on my heartstrings, right? So moving on into number 5, and again, this I'm converting these steps into more of a nonprofit world. We say we convert them, right? And in sales, that means we took a lead into a sale. We made the deal. In the nonprofit world, what that means is getting somebody to sign up for something, getting somebody to donate. It's still a conversion, right? Understanding that that's how it works. So again, our goals are different. The methods are still very much the same. So when we say convert them, we mean we take action now. So we have a donation form. We have a really interactive events search system. The orchestra we did, that their main key point is get people to sign up for the orchestra, right? Register, buy tickets. It's cool, right? Buy a season pass, whatever it is. And so we developed this really cool search system to search the types of shows and orchestra and whatnot. And that converts them. They go and they buy, right? Conversion could just be engagement on the site. That's our purpose. For that one, we created this really cool interactive scroll through of all the full body shots of the musicians. And you go through all of them, and you click on them, and you get the bios of each musician, pictures, and very cool, engaging stuff. And that was something we wanted to drive people to. So creating that it was a unique thing. And of all things, and as silly as it sounds, when the client approached us and we were talking about it, the inspiration was the WWE website. Because the WWE website, and this was not my idea, but one of my other team members, it had the full body figures, and you scrolled through them. They said, "Wow, how cool would it be if you could scroll through the musicians?" Of course, it was much more tasteful than the WWE website, but you get my point.
I do.
We took an idea from something totally different, and we're able to utilize it in a nonprofit situation that created a lot of engagement, a lot of buy-in from the musicians. You better believe the musicians were sending the website, "Look at my picture, it's amazing."
That's engagement. That's not hits. That's conversions are when people actually do something. And I think it's even more critical in the church and nonprofit space.
Right.
It's really important for people to opt in and participate. And unless we've got all of this stuff ahead of it that you just talked about, the first 4 steps, there is no engagement. There's no clarity.
Right. Well, and why it's even more important that there's a conversion or a return for nonprofits, because they have typically less leeway on loss. So if you throw money at a project and there's no return, it's a lot more painful. You have people you got people that are going to be a little upset with you if you waste money. And so you've got to understand that when you're throwing money at something, even with a nonprofit or a charity, it's even more important that you have some sort of return than even with a business, right? So with a business, I can throw money at an event or this or that and lose some money on it and be fine and survive. We did an event, 2 years ago. And my whole team threw all the resources at it. We were out there for a whole week in Orlando. We built this amazing booth. We won Best Branded Booth, by Amex, American Express. That was cool. But we made like $1,200 the whole week. I think we spent 10 or 12 grand, and we made $1,200.
So that's devastating to a charity. That's just devastating.
Horrible, right? And really what happened was long story short is the event organizer screwed up. And actually, it's funny, I totally didn't mean to bring this up. I got an email from them earlier today asking me to sponsor again.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
But my point being, a business can bounce back a little bit more from something like that. It was painful. It took us a long time to bounce back, but a nonprofit can't afford to lose that kind of money. So they have to have quantifiable results.
So step 5, Russell is grabbing these on the chat. What's step 5?
We convert them.
We convert them.
and you could punch in step 5 is ensure there is measurable results and conversion. That would be a great step 5 to kind of convert our wording into what works with that.
Right.
Number 6, and we joke that this is towards the bottom. It's less important. We rock the visuals. You got to make the site look great, but understand that comes later, right? You notice I went through all these other things: the plan, the directing of traffic, determining the most important pages, effective copy, conversion, and I'm just now getting to design. Now, this coming from somebody who loves design. If you saw my office, so you can only see part of it. If you walk through it, you see beautiful. We're all about design. I love design. I'm called by my friends a lot of times as the brandaholic, the local brandaholic. I love brands. I love design, the whole aspect of it. We've actually won a design award every single year since we've been in business. We're very, very good at it. I employ 3 designers, right? So why am I saying that design isn't important? I'm not saying it's not important. I'm saying that it is important, but without the other components, it doesn't matter, right? It's like, let me ask you this. Is the engine important to your car?
Oh, yeah, but you got to have wheels. You got to drive it. You got to know where you're going.
Is your gas tank important? Are your brakes important? I'm going to go down the list, and you're going to say, yes, yes, yes. I'm going to say, great. Well, can I do it without one of those? No. You need all the components.
You need gas to go there. Yeah. I absolutely. Number 6 is the images have to rock, but rocking alone isn't going to work if you don't have all the other pieces in place. Got it.
Correct. So why the visuals are important: credibility. I'm about to give money. I got to feel like I trust this brand, right? The visuals are important because I'm about to commit to this organization. And so I need to feel like, wow, I can trust them. So that's why the visuals are important. But like I said, they come after the other stuff.
Well, they can kill everything if they're not good. It'll ruin your credibility.
Exactly. And it comes to a credibility piece and a trust piece. That's why the branding, that's why we're spending time and energy on this brand for this nonprofit we're working with.
And if people want to know about your design, they can go to rockpapersimple.com. I forgot to say that. I'll put it in the document as we complete it. rockpapersimple.com. And if you put /Hugh, H-U-G-H, then you can get a free consultation with Joshua or his team. And he's got a special offer for Friends of Hugh there. Yep. So, like I said, just to declare everything, Rock Paper Simple is a sponsor of CenterVision Leadership Foundation, and because they're a sponsor, we've measured their effectiveness. Otherwise, we wouldn't let them talk to the people that are in our tribe. And you're demonstrating competency here, but if people go to your site, they can see what you're talking about. And yes. It's not like the shoemaker's kid doesn't have any shoes. You got shoes. Yes. As a matter of fact, your whole attire matches your brand with your orange ties and whatnot.
Yes. I'm not wearing an orange tie today, you'll notice. It's after 5 here. I'm sorry. You're not getting the tie.
Got it.
I've been wearing it all week.
Don't worry about it. So design is the sixth one. That can make or break you. It's not the top priority, but
Right.
it is certainly can do its work if you've done the other one. So
Correct. Build confidence in your visitors. That's why design is important. It's not pretty for the sake of pretty, right? A website. Why do you make it look good? Because you're trying to accomplish a goal. Everything you do with the website, with your brand, with your marketing, it has to accomplish a goal. Ask yourself why. If I were to give you advice in marketing, and this applies to businesses as well as it does nonprofits, but ask yourself why every time you go to spend money.
I don't think it's any different. We need to employ business principles in the church and charity we run.
I agree.
It's imperative. We got to have profit to do the work we're doing. We don't get to distribute it to stockholders. We got rigid rules on that. So I could interrupt you so you can go to 7, and then we can entertain some questions if we have any, but I want to go to the questions that I posted on Twitter and address those as well. So let me quit interrupting there.
No, it's fine. 7 is really easy. 7 is start the marketing cycle. So you've built the site, right? You've got a website. You need to have some sort of cycle to drive traffic to it. You need to get people going to it now. You've got a funnel. You've got good copy. You've got a great looking website. You've got conversion points. But if nobody goes to it, it was worthless. So you've got to create a marketing cycle at this point. Set up the analytics, measure your visits, make sure it's going up and going down. You can set up tracking, especially if you're spending any kind of money on actual advertising. Go and sign up for a call tracking software. CallRail is $30 a month. Seriously. Any good agency will include it with their marketing. And so when we do a campaign, we include call tracking. We set up phone numbers for them and we track everything so we can prove how it's going. If you're doing it yourself, go and sign up for CallRail, $30 a month. I don't get a dime of that. But track your numbers. See what's working. You're going to do a mailing. You're going to do door-to-door, whatever. Track it with a phone number. Know how many leads you're getting.
What's it called?
CallRail.
CALL.
RAIL. Did I spell it right?
Is it callrail.com?
CallRail.com. Super easy.
And it tracks your results?
Yeah, so what it does is it allows you to generate up to 10, callrail.com. Allows you to track up to 10 phone numbers with that first tier package. So you can go in and generate 10 different phone numbers and then take those phone numbers and either put them to print them on your printing material, or you can actually embed it on or add a bit of code to your website. They have a WordPress plugin even that will automatically swap out your phone number anywhere on the website based upon how the visitor visited your website. So I have it set up for one of our clients where I know if actually they're a nonprofit deals with senior living, lifestyle, etc. And I have it set up so that the website on the phone number on the website changes based upon if the visitor came from a pay-per-click from Google. If it's a search from Google, it knows that. If it's a direct visit, it knows that. If it's a visit from their mailer, it changes the phone number, it knows that, and so on and so forth. So I can at any time go in and I know how many leads they're getting. I know it's working, right? So little tip, people think it's expensive and crazy to do. CallRail is $30 a month.
It is awesome. Can I pose some of the questions that we put out there on the nonprofit chat on Twitter?
Yeah, for sure.
Is it possible? How is it possible to engage members on an online website? You dealt with that some, but really, I hear complaints that people aren't engaged. And there's this big gap between meetings, or when we show up on Sunday, we show up at board meetings, we show up at committee meetings. And I'm thinking, so how do we engage people virtually?
Right. Well, there's any number of ways, and it depends on what stakeholder we're talking about. So, I mean, if this is a member of a church, well, there's so many ways of doing that. Make sure you've got events up on the site. Maybe you are having people sign up for different outreaches or different things like that nature. Make sure you're being very clear about your service times and beliefs and things like that. That's going to help a church, right? Those are the kind of things you need to get engagement. Maybe we're talking about a nonprofit board. Well, there's actually options to plug into websites and a board login. So you log in and you interact, and there's a message board, and there's file repository and meeting notes, and well, now you're getting engaged, right? I sit on a few boards, and I'm that guy that joins a board, and a week in goes, okay, I know I'm the new guy. and I know I'm also probably the youngest guy here by 20 years. However, I do everything on purpose, and I'd like to ask a couple questions. Number one, why are we here? I mean, not just the basic mission statement. Why are we, the 12 of us sitting here? What are we trying to accomplish? Like, seriously, like, what are we trying to do? I always get a couple eye rolls, but most of them appreciate that. Most of them actually don't know the answer to that question. And then the second question I ask is, all right, great. Well, how are we going to do that? And if we're not doing it, then honestly, I don't really want to be here. So I'm a little bit of an aggressive board member that way, but the thing is, I'm going to sit on the board, I'm going to do stuff, I'm going to make things happen. And so I tend to throw those questions out there pretty early on because you want to accomplish something. How many boards have we sat on where it's just like nothing's happening? Or it's just we're getting nowhere. And I actually went and I set up some project management tools and reminder tools. So these board members were getting reminders of tasks and things they needed to do. And you can do that. There's some tools for that if you reach out to your developer and whatnot. There's actually some third-party apps that do that as well. I don't remember any of them off.
Well, what you just talked about is about a board engagement. There's a message board. There's you can have documents to download for the next meeting. I find that I get more and more email, and it's just things get lost, and people show up with the previous version, or I can't find it in my email. So if they've got a place to go, everything's there. It's so useful. Well, you gave a lot more content with that. Going back to it, and I'll go back to the why number 2. It's out there. Why is having a pretty looking website not enough to keep people active? You dealt with that a little bit, but it's pretty. But so what? Boom, they're gone. So why is pretty not enough?
A website without results is a worthless website, right? We started with that. And it really comes down to it. If it's a pretty website that has no conversion, then what's the point? So if I go to a website and it looks great and even sounds great, but there's no way for me to, let's say there's, their whole mission is to, raise money to save, puppies. So if they talk about the puppies and they show charts about how many puppies they can save, and look, every dollar you spend, I can save 10 puppies in this whole thing, right? And I'm being a little silly with it, but that's, and I'm excited and I want to help and I want to donate, but there's no button for donating and there's no phone number and no address. Well, it was a waste of time, right? So I can't do anything. So a lot of websites are like that.
Yes, frustrating. Preach it. I can feel your passion, bro. I mean, it's so logical. Give me there's no comment section. They post stuff. There's nowhere to have feedback. So, no
donation button, no download button, no whatever it is that they're trying to. I can't count the amount of times that I see big businesses and nonprofits put a website out there that does nothing for them because there's no way to engage. There's no way to convert. I always joke, and I do these speaking engagements, the 7 steps. And when I'm making this point, I'll say it would be like this, and I'd walk up to one of the members of the audience, and I'll say, "Hey, let's imagine that you really want a website, okay?" And I tell you all about this website, and you're really excited, and you want to buy it. And I say, "Great," and I normally shake their hand, and then I turn around and I walk out the door, like straight up. I just walk out the door. I'll be right in the middle of speaking. The lapel mic will be freaking out. I walk out the door, and of course I wait for everybody to laugh, and then I come back and I go, "What happened? What did I do wrong? Why didn't I get the sale?" Well, of course, they all laugh at me and go, "Well, because you left. You didn't actually get the deal." So that's exactly what most of your websites are doing.
Absolutely.
You're excited. You got your information. It might even look pretty, but you have no conversion point or no purpose. Or no. So,
and when I say I look pretty, people laugh. So it don't work for me. See? All right, we haven't dealt with this at all. It's the topic of SEO. So why is it important if people know where to find us?
Right. Yeah, that's a monster question. So I will get it as short as I can.
Yeah, we've only got 10 minutes left.
Yeah. So the SEO side of things, your search engine optimization, as simple as I can put it, is how do you rank on Google? When people go to Google and they look for something, what do they find? Right? They go in and search for web design, web design, malware, photo. They find us, right? Great. So that's SEO, wanting to be found when people are searching. Now, SEO applies to different things, different ways. It's going to apply to the different nonprofits. People are looking for something. Are they looking for that service? Maybe you're trying to promote to people you're trying to serve. Maybe you're looking for volunteers. You have to look and say, okay, well, who's searching for that kind of thing in my area? Are they searching for that kind of thing? If they are, well, then I want to rank for that in Google. And there's a series of things you do for that. Content writing, link building. There's a lot of stuff that social media indicators. Again, it would take hours to even touch that subject. But you want to rank for those things that are important. Churches. You want a church near me? I mean, that's a legit keyword people search for. I've done it. I moved to a new area and I want to go to a church. I don't know what's here. And then I go and I look at the top results and I look at what they believe in and I look at their service times and go, that's too early for me. I'll go to this one.
Well, and
was that wrong to say?
I'm going to go skip right over that. I look at websites that are designed by so-called professionals, and there's little things like just one thing, like the image. It's got gobbledygook as the file name and the name of the image. And Google doesn't look at the picture, but if you put what's it called, the code, the app code or alt code, can put your name so that Google can find you, and then the file name, Hugh1234, that doesn't do any good. Hugh Ballou, then my image, when you do a search on Google, it'll come up in the images.
Right.
And then you click on it, it takes you to the page. And so I find there's a whole lot of web designers don't know the little things that all add up to help people find you. So you're right. It's a big topic, and we could spend a lot of energy on it. But it's important because you said it helps you rank on the top of Google, so people who don't know you can find you. Did I hear you right?
Right.
Now, number 4.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a big project.
We did a whole interview on SEO, couldn't we? But I'm finding that more of the topics I get into, you have a lot of depth in all of those topics. But I just wanted to approach that. Now, people can find #nonprofitchat on Twitter and can weigh in on any of these questions because they've been posted out there. And the last one, which just posted just now, why is it important to have a person managing updates and communications on a website? A dedicated person is what I should have put there. Why is it important to have somebody that's keeping it up to date?
So that it actually happens. Too blunt? Too blunt?
I was thinking relevant, but that one's better. So it happens. Well, I'm going to get to it someday. No, somebody has to have it as their number one duty. Yes, absolutely.
It just won't happen. Whether it's somebody in-house that does it, that's the person, it's their job to do it, or you hire an agency like us to make sure the site stays up to date and relevant, like you said. It's got to happen. Again, a lot of times your information, your website, it is time-sensitive information. Your events for your nonprofits, your sermons for your churches. We built a site for a church. They were really big on making sure they could upload every week right after service the text version, typed out text version of the sermon, the audio file of the sermon, and the video file. And then they wanted to automatically send the video or the audio to iTunes podcasts. So they had all this stuff, and it has to stay regularly updated. So we set up the system for them to go in and do it themselves every single Sunday. And then they just reach out to us for maintenance, So
I love it.
But they have a dedicated person over there. They still reach out to us for the harder changes, but they have a dedicated person. It's important to stay relevant and stay on top of things. Otherwise, it just doesn't happen. And if you're not maintaining the site, a few things happen. It loses relevance. Somebody goes and looks at, look, they have a blog. Oh, look, they posted 3 years ago. They're probably not around anymore. It shows relevance and activity, and especially in nonprofits, you want to see activity in life, and especially if you're thinking about donating, you don't want to see a blog post from 2 years ago. Oh, they're not doing anything with my money. They're going to steal it. You want to show them life, and also, if a website goes long enough without updates, it can get dangerous in forms of hacking and things of that nature. So it's not an updates happening.
Oh, with your software, yeah. What I'm hearing in that is that you set up systems that people can go in and post their own stuff. We really don't want to be dependent, no matter how good your web person is. You need to make middle of the night changes and updates and yourself. So you make that easy for people.
It depends on the time. Some clients need that. Some clients, the time is worth too much money, or it just can't do it, right? Absolutely. So all of our sites are built to be easily managed.
But you still want to have access to it, so you want to have ability to do it should you need to. Think about a parting tip or thought you'd like to leave with people, and I want to. Russell's been very patient, and he's captured a lot of your nuggets and put them into the chat, and I'm going to save them and post them on the site, nonprofitchat.com, and to go check out rockpapersimple.com/Hugh, see what Joshua has for you and for Friends of Hugh. Russell, you got any, you've been thinking about, are you going to go to that website and rockpapersimple/Hugh and see if you can get a free consultation with this guy about your site? Yeah, he's smiling.
Yes, I'm gonna do that. And but yeah, the other thing that I've learned over time is to try to be a good customer, because if you go in there and you have no idea what you want, your website's just not going to turn out the best way. And so it's a communication process, a whole lot of planning. I love to make use of mind maps, as you know. So that's what I did with my web developer. And
nice.
The biggest problem I have is that I can't make changes easily. So I'm too dependent on them. And so to my way of thinking, I need those 3 o'clock in the morning changes. But
yep.
The other thing, with the website is really that question that's like planning for speech or any other thing that you present. What is it you want people to know, feel, and do with the information you give them?
Right.
And so it's important to stay fresh and to keep new content. That's why interactivity is important, to get people in there to interact with so that your content is fresh. People have short attention spans, and there's a lot of stuff out there. So with churches, the other thing I find is that a lot of the folks are my age. We need younger people in my church. It's probably no different in any other church than mine.
Yeah.
Most of us have gray hair. And so technology, I mean, we got to keep it fresh. The solution is no hair. That's my solution to the gray hair thing. It's not enough. I can't buy Grecian formula by the 55-gallon vat. So, but just engaging young people in that, if you got young people in your church that are savvy with social media, that's what it's about. And it's creating engagement, making it fun, getting people in there, and maybe consider a reverse mentoring program in the church, so that you got young people to pass their technological skills on and older people.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah,
it's a great idea.
We need to, in order to keep our churches going, we got to get a younger crowd in there, though.
Preach it, brother. Preach it, brother. And relevance is so important, which was the whole theme of this conversation tonight. As usual, you have really good comments, sir. Russell was the guest on this a couple of weeks ago, and he did the 7 things you need to do when you start a nonprofit, and it's posted on. Go connect with Russell. Is it just Russell Dennis on LinkedIn or Russell David Dennis?
It's Russ Dennis. Yeah,
Russ RUSS Dennis. He's
RUSS. Yeah,
he's making a big impact. He's posting articles on the CenterVision Leadership Org blog roll. You put one up last week. You've got some really good articles on LinkedIn. And he's a spokesperson. He's the Andy Rooney for the nonprofit world. He's got some really good content out there, and you're getting a lot of traction. And you posted the video from David Gruder, and it's gotten the shadow, and it's gotten a lot of views. And maybe you'll, if you're nice, if Joshua's nice to you, you post his up there too.
People are really starting to look at what we're doing here. So I post these up on Go Read. I posted on Google+. I've got a number of Facebook pages that I have, and I posted on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn gives me good measures. So I'm sure we could probably increase that. I have to go into Google+. I haven't been able to drill down to see how many views people have on the post. They took down your ability to see what was happening, because I had 128 followers in the old classic format and 45,000 views. So people were looking at the content. I just couldn't tell where they were looking at it. And so Mark Cuban talked about that, having a lot of buzz, and he says, I don't care how many interviews you're getting, are you making money? It doesn't matter. PR is there.
Bottom line. Well,
sales.
Russ has become quite the person of influence in the nonprofit space. So we've got to pivot that to monetization. And that's probably what I took away from Joshua's relevance piece. We've really got to put business principles in our religious and community organizations, because we need to bring in the revenue so we can do the work that we're called to do. So Russell, thank you for all of that. That's just your gem. Thank you. Joshua, take us out. What's a parting comment you'd like to leave people with?
Be purposeful. It's as simple as that. What's your purpose? What's the reason? Why are you doing it? Same thing I say when I sit on those boards. What's the point? When you build a website, what's the point?
It's good. I would term that as being assertive. Being assertive. That's a good thing. Well, Joshua Adams, you're a young fella that you got wisdom a lot past your years. Would you say so, Russ? Gives you 10.
How much did you pay him to say that?
A lot. Okay. So we're ending this nonprofit exchange. It's been a great exchange of information. And if you're live on Twitter, go do the hashtag nonprofit chat and let us have your comments. Joshua Adams, thank you so much for sharing tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Very good.